Good day. You are welcome to another unit of Physics 191, and in this unit we are considering measurement of length. We'll be considering two major instruments for taking measurement of length in physics experiment, and these instruments are the vernier calipers and the micrometer screw gauge. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify a vernier caliper and a micrometer screw gauge. Secondly, you should be able to use the vernier caliper to take measurement of length. And finally, you should be able to use the micrometer screw gauge to also take measurement of length and diameter of cylindrical objects. The first to start with is the vernier caliper. Vernier caliper are precision length measuring instruments, and they consist of two scales. The first scale is the main scale, which is graduated in centimeter, and you also have the second scale, which we call the vernier scale, and it has 10 subdivisions. That's from 0 to 9. This figure is showing an example of a vernier caliper. Like I said, you can see the main scale there, called the graduated scale in centimeter, and you have the vernier scale. The instrument also has two jaws, the upper jaw for the internal diameter of an object and the lower jaw for the external diameter of an object. Now this figure is showing how to read the vernier caliper. An example is here. You see the vernier scale starting at a particular point on the main scale. Where the vernier scale is starting on the main scale is your main scale reading. And secondly, you will look at the vernier scale where the point you have a mark perfectly coinciding with another mark on the main scale. That is your vernier scale reading. This example, you have your main scale reading on 3.4 and the vernier scale reading, the seventh line is the one that perfectly coincides with another line on the main scale. So you multiply your vernier reading with what we call the reading accuracy of the instrument. And what is the reading accuracy of the instrument? 0.01 centimeter. 0.01 centimeter. So if you multiply 7 by 0.01, you have 0.07. So you now add the main scale reading, which is 3.4. You add it with the vernier scale reading, which is 0.07. And finally, we have 3.47. As you can see here, the use of vernier calipers is done. The figure show how measurement is done with your vernier caliper. And when using this device, the first step is to check for zero error. You must ensure that the main scale actually commences from 0 where the vernier scale is. And this is done by closing the jaws and then check whether the 0 of the vernier is opposite to that of the fixed major scale. If yes, then there is no zero error. Then you take your main scale reading and the vernier scale reading like I have explained. And the 0 mark of the vernier scale is pointing between 3.4 and 3.5, so we take 3.4, which is the one close to it. And also, I want us to look at micrometer screw gauge, the second instrument. This is a precision instrument also that must be handled with the utmost care. It operates on the screw principles, and its accuracy depends on the threads of the screw not being damaged, meaning that once the thread is damaged, the instrument is no more accurate. Finally, on no account should the screw be forced by closing the jaws too tightly. This figure 3 is showing an example of micrometer screw gauge. You can see all the parts labeled: the amphi, the spindle, the sleeve, the thimble, the ratchet knob, the frame, and so on. The reading accuracy of this micrometer screw gauge is 0.01 millimeter. If you look at the diagram very well, it is written on it 0.01 millimeter. Don't forget, I mentioned for vernier caliper, the reading accuracy is 0.01 centimeter, but for micrometer screw gauge, the reading accuracy is 0.01 millimeter, which means that tiny objects that vernier caliper may not be able to read accurately, micrometer screw gauge can measure it accurately for you. Now, this figure is showing an example of a measurement of a particular length using micrometer screw gauge. If you check the main scale, let me go back to figure 3. You see where the sleeve is, that's where the main scale is, and where the thimble is, that's where you have the vernier scale. Now, looking at this example, if you check the main scale, you have 0, you have 5 at a point, and you have other 2 lines, which means the main scale reading here is 7. After 5, you have 6. After 6, 7. So that is where the main scale stops. That is 7. You now look at the thimble, which is where you have your vernier scale. For the vernier scale, you see 35, you see 40, Now, where the line coming from the main scale coincide with a point on the vernier scale, that is your vernier scale reading. If you see 35, you see 40. So if you see that line that is coming from the main scale reading, now the example in figure 3 showing how to take a measurement with your micrometer screw gauge. I said we have two scales, the main scale and the vernier scale. On the main scale, you see from the diagram, you have 7 meeting your thimble. That is the main scale reading, 7. Now you are going to add it to the vernier scale reading. What is your vernier scale reading? You will check a line coming from the main scale that perfectly coincide with another point on the vernier scale, and that line is on 37. Is on 37. You will now multiply that 37 with the reading accuracy of the micrometer screw gauge I mentioned the other time. I said the reading accuracy is 0.01 millimeter. So you multiply your 37 with 0.01 millimeter. It means you are having 7 plus 0.37. If you add this together, you are having 7.37 millimeter. That is the measurement taken with that illustration given. Now, in this unit, you have learned how to identify the vernier caliper and the micrometer screw gauge. You have also learned how to use the vernier caliper to carry out measurements of length, and finally, you have learned how to use the micrometer screw gauge to measure the length or diameters of cylindrical objects. Thank you.